Hey, this is Voices of Swell. It's Deborah. Today, it's a really special chance for us to have a great conversation with Steve Wozniak. Many of you know Steve because in 1976, he co-founded Apple with his partner, Steve Jobs. And I'm going to paste the Wikipedia link to Steve Wozniak as just a reference. And that's a good place to learn about his life. But I feel like for Voices of Swell, we have a real chance to just understand who Steve Wozniak is and now and how he's been. I met Steve, I think around 2006. He had been, he just finished I Was, which was his autobiography, and I was on the same radio show that he was. I was a musical guest and he was an author, and we really hit it off, and we started a very special friendship that kind of ebbed and flowed over the years. And he's always had some smart, beautiful things to tell me, and I've always followed him as an activist and just a thinker in our world. And I just appreciate that he's able to spend some time with us here on Swell. So Steve, welcome. And this is going to be a really unique back and forth. And I'll keep it as a panel for a while, and then I'll open it up to people so they can say hi to you. And my first question to you is, please tell us how you are right now in this moment. It's September 6th. Lots of things are going on in the world, and I just look forward to hearing how you are in this moment. And thanks again for being with us.
Hi, and thanks to you, Deborah. How am I in this moment? Wow, that's a question I've really kind of never been answered. There's so much going on. You know, I think of 2020 like everyone else does. It's a year we'll look back on as a pretty bad time. As far as a lot of the big impact that people are facing relative to COVID, it doesn't hit me that much. I'm pretty much private anyway. The big things in my life were constant travel for keynote speeches around the world, mostly foreign, up to 100 a year. So that's all off. Oh, that's a relief. I had been doing it long enough. I just wanted some relief from that. Now it's easier and doing some virtual ones too at the present. Secondly, I loved going on long road trips in the car with my wife. We could talk about things. We could listen to music. We could listen to audiobooks. We could take our 4 dogs with us. And we loved long multi-week trips, or even, if it's just a few day trip, we did that all the time. And, with hotel stays and other people in hotels, that was kind of cut off for a long time. Now it's just barely picking up. If you want to drive to Nevada, you can stay somewhere. And we used to love to go to movies together in theaters. And you got to go to Nevada to see a movie right now, so that got cut out of my life. And we loved unwinding after a day, going to a restaurant, sitting down, playing games together with our iPhone, little word games and all. And that's over. So COVID really hit bad. But also during COVID, during a bad month, my computer failed. It failed so hard that even if I had a bootable backup disk, I keep lots of backups, it took out 2 of the 3 I had of those, and it took out my Time Machine backup disk, and it took out my iPhone. This computer was so bad, and I could boot up on a bootable disk for a few minutes at a time. And I would try to shut down before it crashed hard, because that can damage a computer. And this was a bad month. I couldn't do email because email wanted to rebuild, and that was going to take 25 minutes on my computer, and it would crash before that. So I must have done 100 sessions or more, just 3 minutes at a time, printing stuff real quickly by saying Command P to print rather than trying to read them. I couldn't watch any videos. They would take too long and the computer would crash. That was a memory I'll never get over. And I couldn't get a new computer for a month because they came from China, and it was all bogged down in the COVID, and the Apple stores were closed. So that one hit me really bad. And someday I'll tell you about how I believe my wife and I had COVID in January early, before any known American case. And we had just come back from Hong Kong, and it was the worst thing we ever had, and they couldn't determine any test for 8 hours in an American hospital what it could be. So who knows? Right now we're happy. We're doing things together like we always do, and dogs are happy and the house is going. It's been kind of a relaxing period, and we're thinking of embarking on a new life and getting an RV so we can actually kind of travel to places where we don't even stay in a hotel. It's the best I can say is I'm not having, I'm starting to feel a little bit of, I wish we could do things like the normal way. But I don't, it doesn't feel like it's like to a point of something you'd call depression or whatever, but, it's too bad for everything going on here. And then I'm non-political. I decided when I was 20 years old I would never vote for a president. Doesn't really change how my life's going to be. But this year I'm going to vote for the first time in my life. And I'll leave that up to you. Okay, well, good talking to you. I'm looking forward to the next question.
Wait, you had computer problems. You could have called me because I absolutely could have helped you out. I could have, told you to wave sage over it or something. Anyway, I'm so happy it's resolved. I hope it's resolved. I'm glad your iPhone works because it's great to hear your voice. It seems like you are faring well. I want to follow up with something you mentioned because it's so interesting to me to talk about getting an RV. It's a big trend these days, and I'm sure as a designer of experiences, you probably have an idea of what kind of camper or RV or whatever it's going to be. I know sprinters are happening big these days. What kind of vehicle are you going to get with your wife to traverse this amazing country of ours? And what elements, what components are you looking for? And I know with your mind, you probably have some big ideas. So can you share that with us? I just think it's really cool. In anticipation of your answer for the question I just asked about your RV, I have another question I wanted to ask now before I forgot, which plays into the idea of what we do when we travel. We discover, and we happen upon things that are extraordinary or ordinary, but it's that process of unfolding in that journey. And I wanted to ask you about some vocabulary words that are prominent in our technology universe these days, and the difference you think there is between discovery and invention and this idea of intentional, what they call disruption. And I wanted your take on these words, given the world that we're living in today and what's coming into the market and what's happening in the space of technology. I'd love your thoughts on those words and how they play into how you see the future. Thanks so much. Looking forward.
Hi, Deborah. Thanks for the questions. As to my horrendous computer problems, the worst of my life, one big thing is I keep my email, because I came up in the early days when I ran my own servers, I keep my email local on my machine like I own it in pop email. And it's hard to explain why, but goes back to running a lot of servers, routers, all that stuff, setting up the early internet days. And it took me 100 to 200 hours to figure out ways from backups to properly recover my email into Apple Mail. And I used to say that those of us who brought us this digital world should be executed. But now I say that those of us who brought this digital world to us should be forced to live in it. And that comes from that computer problems. As far as an RV, a friend of mine was stuck on the East Coast with his girlfriend during COVID with no way now to fly home or get home, and decided to buy an RV. And he sent me a beautiful picture of it and description. I had to get some repairs done. He actually stayed, I think, at the Marriott in Miami, some Marriott, for like 2 weeks. He was the only person there. Very strange situation. And he finally drove it back home to Las Vegas. I started looking into RVs a couple months ago and studied them and compared different types and brands and makes and models. And I came down with, it was a Class A one. He bought one of the big, long 36-footers. And I came down with, for me, the exact same choices worked out, the same brand and the same model. But my wife was too scared. Janet was too scared of a 36-foot long one. Could she even drive it? So finally, we reconsidered a bit. I've done enough research and been to enough websites and all this to choose a Class C, a smaller one, 26-foot. And the one that we went with was brand Tiffin Wayfarer, and that one is built on the Mercedes Sprinter chassis, whereas probably most of the RVs, Class C RVs, are built on the Ford frame, which has larger gas tanks and a little more horsepower. But we made our choices based on all the luxuries and the features and what was in it. And we have to wait about 14 weeks to get it. But started searching, what are we going to do? Your very first time. We've read a lot of stories that helped us a lot. We've talked to a few people that helped us a lot. But we're just going to pick some RV park somewhere, maybe a KOA, but maybe not, and drive there. We're probably going to look for one that's real easy to begin with, not so much camping in the raw, but luxury and park and have pools and clubhouses and things like that for, just for a trial. But we probably won't have our RV until, winter times. So we'll probably take a southern route. And I don't know, it's kind of exciting because it's almost like having another little house. You choose the materials on the walls and the panels and the bed and everything like that. You're almost setting up a mini house, and it's a way to miniaturize your life in a sense. And I'm sure we take a lot of multi-week road trips in our car. We're kind of a Tesla family so far. And we take a lot of those road trips, and I'd like to head off on a couple-week road trip in the RV, and heck, someday maybe we'll just keep going. Who knows when we'll be back or where. At least it's possible to be far away. We'll have certainly internet and satellite TV and satellite radio. Those kind of things are important to us. We love traveling together because we do so much together. We talk and we share and we listen to music and books and talk about them. And we generally have the same ideas, the same opinions of different books and movies and people and their actions. Yeah, as to, tech vocabulary, words like discovery and invention and disruption, I think, what is consciousness? What is feeling? What is emotion? Because it's involved a lot in those words. And discovery is always very important to me because, like, when I have a new child or a new dog and I see them, maybe the first dog out of the litter to escape out of its holding pen and walk around trying to figure out what is the world? What is this place I'm in? How do I move from being a puppy to being a dog? How do I learn things and learn the world? And we're kind of born with this sense of discovery, although schools often have a way of saying, no, you want to open that drawer? No, you cannot open that drawer. Sorry, we have a class of 30 students. You can't open that cabinet. You have to kind of follow some strict rules. So we get a lot of the discovery and, the creative elements, the elements that lead to creativity, sort of told, no, you just follow the same maze and the same path as everyone else, but on your own time. The human brain just likes to go places. I mean, look what it does in just dreams, and it has thoughts. A lot of people have thoughts, and there are different types of people. It's not like we're all the same as far as discovery. Some grow up and are very competent at doing a certain type of work. You might even call them engineers, but then others just get a dream in their head and say, I wonder if it's possible, and go explore and try to do it, and they become inventors. And some inventions, can be just for fun, and your mind improves. And another invention can be just for fun. And your mind improves because you work so hard when it's your own thing, your own idea. You work so hard to get it done. That's a huge learning process. And then you're ready that someday, my gosh, how does this carburetor work or something? What's this little trick I thought of improve it? And you go into the laboratory. Real inventors kind of like to work alone, run into a laboratory and test out, at least get a prototype showing that their idea has value. And that's the inventiveness. And that's what brings us things that you just didn't have beforehand in a book. It's thinking out of the box and thinking different, actually. Now, disruption comes about when some of these inventions are such a different course in life that now, based on the technology and the environment we're in today, now that is a more efficient way of doing process. It's easier for people. It lets them be more powerful. It lets them go in a different direction than before. It didn't just make the prior ways and the status quo better. It didn't just improve things incrementally. It took a whole new, different dimension, a different path almost. And that's usually where things are so surprising that disruption comes from. And people who didn't pay attention to the importance of this new change doesn't make a difference. Usually it doesn't right away. We've got all the old ways, and they'll make us lots of money for our companies this year, and it won't affect our sales next year and the year after. And then maybe 4 years down, The whole world has begun a change that sometimes takes a long time to complete, and all of a sudden everybody's doing something different, and our products and our services are no longer valued, and we're disrupted. And disruption to me usually means some companies actually kind of go out of business or nearly go out of business. That's how badly they are disrupted. Now, my own idea that I've had, and I've spoken about a few times over the recent years, is that a company should, the most important thing is keep the money wheel going, but they should have a department that looks into disruption, and there should be a chief disruption officer. And the chief disruption officer should not report to the CEO, because the CEO is keeping the company running day to day and making sure it's profitable. The disruption group should look into what could we do that might disrupt the industry, or what could others do that might disrupt it for us, and be ready for it and plan and report directly to the board of directors. That's my thinking. Rarely do you see it, but often you'll find a CEO has one little employee, a young one maybe, that has some ideas, and will set them up on a Skunk Works project, give them some funding, let them work at home and develop something. And so sometimes that brings about these things that you couldn't really predict from today's business to tomorrow's, but it just goes off into left field. And often it's possible because certain kinds of technology are now less expensive than before. That's like attributed to Moore's Law. Or we discover how to get high bandwidth in cell phones that makes things possible that weren't really possible ways. So look at the world and transmit video that way. So that's some of my feelings about disruption. I'm going to cut off now. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Steve. Helping us sort of knit together discovery and invention and disruption into this sort of patchwork, really, really interesting. And Chief Disruption Officer, I think the United States needs one of those. I think every government needs one of those, sort of this department that understands how to be proactive and reactive in a creative way. Really interesting idea. And I would love to see somebody's business card that says, Deborah Pardes, Chief Disruption Officer. It sounds badass. It's awesome. I wanted to ask you, sort of in the realm of understanding the flow of change and technology, I feel very in awe of people who understand what they should learn next in technology and what they shouldn't waste their time doing. And I'm specifically speaking about people who are in a stage in their life where they think they have the things that make their life wonderful, and they just want those things. And they don't get caught up in, oh, I better learn this next thing to stay in touch with what's going on in technology. There's always going to be innovation. There's always going to be change. And from your perspective, I guess advice to people who are on a daily basis trying to make decisions, which app should I get? Which technology platform should I adopt next for this and that, whether I'm running a business or I'm just a person running their lives? How do you make decisions about what to adopt and what not to adopt, what to download, what not to download? Is there a mantra you use? Is there some kind of advisory board inside your head that tells you, no, don't waste your time on that, and oh yeah, you should try that, that sounds really cool? Do you have advice for people who really clamor with this sense of like, what do I do? I'm so overwhelmed. There's so many new things out there. I don't want to fall behind. I don't want to be a Luddite. How can you help people make the decision to adopt or not to adopt a new tool? Thanks so much for your ideas. Hey, Steve, while we are waiting for you to answer that last question, I wanted to sort of welcome the whole Swell community to this conversation. And in the spirit of Swell, I look forward to people adding their voices here to contribute to the wonder of this world that we're talking about, whether it's about technology or about the future or about our own ways of imagining ourselves as we step into the future. And I just want to also, again, thank you so much for joining the Swell community and adding your voice to this incredible platform and our ability to just connect from all over the world. So I look forward to everybody's voices here, and we hope that you come back and visit us often, Steve, as we are here, and we're all in this together for sure. I hate to use that cliche, but in the best of ways, we're all in this together. So looking forward, and here we go.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for being a part of this community. My question is about the future of quantum computing and what it means for all of us. When, and it is really a when and not an if, quantum computing becomes mainstream, won't that make the entire digital space unsafe? Currently, a 2048-bit RSA encryption can be broken in about 8 hours. And with advances in tech and Moore's law, that'll come down to minutes. Everything from banking to IoT to government systems to satellites can get compromised. And we could potentially face a digital Armageddon. To me, this is a lot more worrisome than all the worries about AI, and I wanted to know what your thoughts on this are. I am just adding a link to an MIT Tech Review article about this as well.
Hi again, Deborah. Yeah, thanks. It's kind of nice to be on Swell. I pretty much avoid most of the social web, and I kind of retreat to old school email. It's in front of me. It's something I understood. It's something that I helped, create and run in the earliest days of the internet. And that's my way. Now, when you come down to what technologies do you adapt, or should your guidance be to choose, what new apps or what new products or whatnot, we're all in different places. I myself have always followed the hot new, hardware apps and all that, and try to find out which ones are really significantly different. I find that my computer life isn't hugely different than it was 15 years ago, so it's hard to say, what did I really get from some particular app? We all get, better communication when we have, more broadband or something like that. But you know what? One thing is, all people are not the same. I could give an answer that would fit one person with one personality and one set of experiences in one environment today, and it just wouldn't apply it all to another. Pretty much we, don't feel like you're pressured to get into anything. Some friends got a whole bunch of things. You got to get this, got to get this. It's a big motivating factor, but you should never feel bad that I'm just going to take it easy for a while. I'll watch, and maybe I'll join later, or I'll come in with some other device or some other application. I just don't like, the feeling pressure, because that kind of fights your own internal happiness. Am I doing what I want to, or am I doing what the world is leading me and almost coercing me into doing? Other people and, companies are putting out products. So, so no matter what you do, if the choice is yours, you're good. Now, if you feel that you're missing out on something, that is a problem, and it's hard to solve. But look, we got the internet today. You've got forums. You can ask questions. You can find a ton of other people that have been down the same path and can give you advice on it. Because I go around, I speak about technology a lot. I want to be up on some of the latest things going on. But then again, I have my own personal opinions as to how good they are, whether they're helpful, how I feel about the companies that put them out, and that sort of thing. So I'm just freer than most people and can't give one key set of advice. You're always constrained by your budget. So that's a good deciding factor, and trying to do everything. You can never have the best of anything. Say you want to have the best car, and you soup it up, and you improve the engine, and you work on it, and have technicians and all that. And then there's a better one out the next month. Or you want to have the latest smartphone. There's a better one out the next month. You can kind of never be the best. So just give up and try to get good things has been my way of life. Things that, will work out well for you. Now, sometimes you see something, this is a huge thing, makes a huge difference in my life, but sometimes it's just an incremental change and doesn't make that big a difference. You can fool yourself, and so can the manufacturers. And that's what I'm going to say about this subject. Thanks for listening. Hi, Sudha. Everyone pretty much shares your questions about quantum computing. I don't accept it as a given that it's going to massively change everything we do in life. We've been sort of asking the same questions for about 20 years, and the answer's kind of all the same. There isn't really any, substitution for classic computing yet for almost anything we do. It's just always it might happen. Okay, recently they've got some quantum computing done with pure photons. Oh, I've been hoping for photonic logic all myself. All you need is a logic gate, an inverter, and an amplifier, and you can do anything with it. And photons are much lighter than electrons. So in theory, there's advantages that in speed, performance, and power usage and all that. And supposedly at room temperature, you can get quantum effects with that, is what they're talking about. But I don't like to hear all this talk about, here is something new, and it might lead to this, it might lead to that. And you can extend your, and if you're not right in the field, it's hard to put your feet on the ground and say, I know this is coming and what this will do. As far as, decoding, decrypting things very quickly and nothing will be encrypted, I worry about that very strongly as a founder of EFF. Civil liberties, privacy is very important to me, but we're already getting to systems that kind of go beyond, that don't use encryption and passwords. They use other methods to verify who you are. Quantum computing isn't going to change my fingerprint, or my facial ID. So I just, how happy you are in life if you have a whole bunch of worries. Horrible things are impending and might affect our future in a horrible way. That's just giving you extra frowns and negative thoughts. And I don't believe in that. I set up my life to have just a nice, peaceful head. And I try to do a lot of things that give me fun. And I try just not to do things that'll make me angry or sad, or take a side. And if it comes out this way, I'm going to be very upset. Just, so it's kind of a not getting upset so much. It's sort of a not caring. But, reacting on fear and what can happen. First of all, we're the most adaptive species. Well, we probably aren't, but just nature is. But, we're so adaptive that anything comes along that impedes mankind, we just adapt and go around it. And we move in a different way and we find solutions. So I'm not afraid that there is one kind of bit of science, technology, mathematics out there that would, seriously affect negatively our species. Thank you.
Hi, Steve. Wow, you're on Swell now. This is so cool. Welcome to Swell. Okay, so I don't have a techie question because I'm not really a techie person. But I love to travel, so hearing about your RV adventures just sounds absolutely wonderful. So here's a couple of questions. One is, I know a lot of people like RVs and that's their thing. I'm a spoiled brat. I like my car and the comfort of it, and I also like hotel rooms. So what are your thoughts on travel with a car and then just hop in hotel room to hotel room as a wandering traveler versus getting an RV? So that's question one. Question two, being that I'm the Bookish podcast, is about audiobooks. Since you mentioned a couple of times that you listen to audiobooks with your wife, so question, what kind of audiobooks do you enjoy? What kind of audiobooks does your wife enjoy? And so now the question comes in, if you're listening to an audiobook in your RV, I'm guessing you both enjoy the same content. What if you enjoy different contents? Second audiobook question, what app do you use for audiobooks? And there are so many different apps. How do you choose what apps you pick for audiobooks? Third question, audiobook speed. Do you listen to it at regular speed, or do you speed up your audiobooks? And how does that work, again, with your wife being in the car? So this is like an audiobook and a marriage question, because I've gone on a road trip with my husband and tried to listen to an audiobook, except that I listened to it at 2 times the speed. Well, now it's over 2 times the speed. And my husband can barely keep up with 1.5 times the speed, which is too slow. So there's audiobook speed questions, audiobook app questions, and yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Hi, Steve. I'm Bernie. I'm in Ireland, and I'm with a young iOS user. What's your name?
Dylan.
Dylan, Steve has 4 dogs. You wanted to ask him about that, didn't you?
Yes, I have 1 dog. I have 2 cats.
What kind of dog?
A Bedlington Terrier.
She yips a lot. She barks a lot. Do you think Steve gets the name of hotels that the dog could stay in? There's one problem, though. The dog's in Ireland now.
Yes.
Steve probably hasn't traveled in Ireland.
Oh.
No, he doesn't. Cork has a big Apple company hotel, or no, not hotel, big company office in Cork in Ireland. In the morning, you do something with an Apple product. What do you do with in the morning?
I go on my my iPad, and I go on to talk to my cousin on Marco Polo.
Where do your cousins live?
Tucson, Arizona.
Where else?
Oregon and Portland, Oregon.
Did you find out something new?
Yes.
And what's the newest thing about Tucson?
Tucson, they have no green grass. They drive on the other side.
They also have big cactus.
Big cactus.
And something fell out of something fell out of the tree the other night. What was it? So Kitty was saying how a scorpion could fall out of the tree.
Yes, don't.
You gotta watch out for that. Who else has iPhones?
My sister, my nanny and granddad.
Yep. So that's Dylan talking to Steve. Say bye, Steve.
Bye-bye.
In reply to some subjects brought up by Bookish, my wife and I, we do love to travel in our car for ages. Janet used to travel 6 states constantly as a field rep for Apple Education. And long ago, I would just, oh my gosh, I feel like doing something. I'll hop on an airplane and go somewhere exciting in the world. And I started realizing I don't really need to. I can just get in my car and go to so many wonderful places in California and beyond California. So when we got married, I would point that out, and we would just hop in the car maybe for a week-long road trip, 2-week road trip. We've taken 3-week road trips. And we basically, just head out and usually wind up in Kansas where her family is, but not always. I love to go to national parks. And we go in the car, we stay in hotels, we've got the whole routine down with snacks and all 4 of our dogs in our Tesla, and we love to do that. So this adventure into RV land is a very new one for us, and just thought we would kind of a trial. We won't have the RV until maybe Christmas time, so we haven't yet taken a trip in it, but want to try going in a non-hotel mode and see how it works out. And also, it's kind of fun to set up a new home for yourself, and this is like a miniature home. You also asked about audiobooks, and my wife and I almost always enjoy the same things for the same reasons. I mean, I can't think of a time we didn't have the same opinions about some of the audiobooks that we got to. I've read a few real books, and so has Janet in these years, but I'm not as heavy a reader because I have a super busy schedule without that. And I mean, you can just count email as reading. And we generally like mysteries, adventures that are almost like, how are they going to get through it? There's a real obstacle, and you're tight, and things are constantly moving. And all the Dan Brown type books were ones, but we loved Ready Player One and Hunger Games and just a bunch of those. Generally, we use the app Audible, and the reason is I generally bought the books for Kindle to read when I could, and then Kindle kind of made it real easy to just click a button and you've got the Audible version too. So that's usually how we listen. I think it's almost always we prefer to. We do not speed it up. I think we like to hear the emotion come through by the way it's read by a real reader. And sometimes I think, wow, this one was so well read. It must be the author who read it. But I don't think that ever turned out to be the case when I checked up on it. And so that's our story. But we love road trips. We take just every chance we can get, even if we only have 2 days free. okay, let's head off to, Reno or Tahoe or Las Vegas or somewhere, quickly. And if we have more time, we look at the calendar. And of course, right now we've got a lot of time for long road trips, but hotels really weren't open. So we're just barely cracking the nut on that one, but just hop in the car and start driving. Sometimes we don't have a fixed plan. We'll just drive until we feel like stopping. We'll find a little, Best Western motel or something for the dogs. We always rely on apps like Where's Fido and others for that sort of information, and navigation systems. They don't work out that well always. Especially, the one built into the Tesla is pretty bad, pretty sad. So that's my story. Hi, having met Dylan briefly on Swell, young iOS user, I'm glad to hear that. You have a dog and you also have 2 cats, and my experiences with dogs, and it's like those beings, they just love you so much, they'll love you to death. And I cry whenever a dog gets hurt or is mistreated. And it's great we have all this digital technology today to keep in touch. When we have, you talk about having cousins in Portland and Tucson while you're in Ireland. That's pretty darn amazing. Long distance international calls when I was young were totally unaffordable. Nobody could do that. So it's great that you can just do it right on your iPad and whatever. And someday I hope you get here to America and get to explore some of the territories. Even the dry places like Tucson have their benefits and their luxuries and wonderfulness. And Portland's plenty cool. I love cool myself. And so if you're ever, out here, maybe we'll get together somehow. Have a great day, Dylan.
The mighty Woz has come to Swell. First, man, I want to say thank you for being a pioneer in this wonderful world of technology that we all enjoy every day. You're not only an icon in the computer industry, you're kind of a pop culture icon of the 80s too. In my book, that's pretty badass. Secondly, I want to say thanks. It's pretty cool of you to come here and answer questions and have the conversations on this platform the way you're doing. So, now I'm not a super knowledgeable tech guy, but a couple questions. One, what's a tech that you thought for sure was just going to take the world by storm and then it didn't happen? Second, what's a tech that you want to see become commonplace before your time here on this planet is done? Something that's almost science fiction, but yet it's within our grasp. And final question, and this one's a bit silly. Apple invents a time machine, right? Johnny Ive is pitching it. They're bringing him back. They're bringing him back to pitch it because he makes things sound so damn sexy, doesn't he? Now, the hook is this. You can only travel back within your own timeline. You cannot go back one day before Steve Wozniak was a reality on this planet. Where do you go? What do you want to go see? It could be in your own life, maybe a profound moment in your life that you'd like to watch play out again. Or maybe just to go spend a day in a decade, a time period that is the most nostalgic for you. Or maybe you just want to see a concert that you were too young to see by a band that would be in their prime in that moment. So where does Steve Wozniak go? Now I'm heading out to grab a bite to eat, probably a couple old fashions, and I'll make sure to raise a glass to you because this was mighty cool of you to come here and do, and I look forward to checking back later. Maybe you answered me, or maybe you were like, your questions were stupid. I'm never answering them. In fact, stop wasting people's time and delete your account. You sicken me. That could happen. Who knows?
Hi, Steve. I was a teacher at a STEM academy, and most of the kids there were working in computer engineering or programming or robotics of some kind. And if they knew that you were here right now, they would just absolutely go nuts. I wanted to ask you, in all of your years working in this industry, what's the one piece of advice, if you could give one word of advice to students that are working in the STEM field. At such a young age, I taught kids as young as 10 years old that were doing some pretty remarkable things. So just a tip or a word of advice, I would really love to hear from you.
Hi, Steve. I just wanted to say that it's so great to hear you on here. I grew up in Silicon Valley, and, you and the other Steve were the heroes of many of us. This is great. Thanks for being a part of this great new community, and I've enjoyed listening. And I think I might go RV shopping soon. Yes, indeed.
Hi, Deborah. It's Tobin. What an awesome way to really kind of kick the wheels on Swell in a different capacity and show what a Swellcast really can be made out of, and asking us to come back in and join the conversation is exactly what makes this platform so unique. And Mr. Wozniak, what a pleasure to hear you come forth in conversation as if we were sitting around the table having coffee. That's exactly why I love this platform, because I've read your stuff and I know who you are, and I've researched you quite a bit. But that was the first time that I actually felt a personal connection, and it was just by the art of a conversation. And to find out that we're both RV enthusiasts, I'm lost in the infinite world of research until we get to a point in life, my wife and I, where we get to push off. We're going to do it with the kids, and we're going to do it for an indiscriminate amount of time, somewhere between 2 and 5 years in homeschool. And it's the full-time family movement. And so I knew exactly where you're coming from, and that was the instant connection. But I appreciate hearing your voice and just talking with what seems to be a group of people that are looking for that connection just as I felt it. So thank you, Deborah, for bringing it together. And Mr. Wozniak, thank you for sharing.
Hey, Steve, thank you very much for answering everyone's question here. I enjoyed listening to each one of them. I see that there already is a long list of questions waiting for you, 4 or something, and I'm sorry, I'm going to tag one more to that list. But I'm hoping my question would appeal to the inner geek in you. I am a game developer, and I am so intrigued about your implementation of Breakout, all being done using transistor to transistor logic. So as a modern game developer, I'm really curious as to how you went about designing a game using transistor to transistor logic. Was it just that all the logic was designed using those chips, and you already had a CPU and memory and other stuff that you had to interface with? And how did designing go? Did you actually work things out in a flowchart and then probably write truth tables and simplify the K-maps to come up with the logic? I'm really interested in how one goes about writing something like a game in hardware, right? So in software, I know exactly how to write, how to refactor stuff into subroutines, etc. And I'm wondering what that process was like for you.
It's Deborah, and I just opened up this very cool conversation. I took it off panel and I made it available again so people can leave questions. I'm doing this because I love Steve and I want his voice back on Swell. Steve, we miss you. And I also know that it's 2021 and I just want to know how you're doing. I know you're about to do an RV trip. And it was sort of waylaid because of circumstances. I can't imagine what. I mean, the world's been so peaceful and calm. But I'm hoping you get back out onto the road or for the first time with your new gear, and just super excited to follow you. So I'm going to just open this thread up again. Hopefully you'll start a new Swellcast that's all about the open road and you. But in the meantime, maybe you'll have time to say hi to us and let us know what's going on. Hope you are well. Looking forward.
I like the idea of a Woz check-in from the places he travels to. What local food did you experience? What did you go look at? What you see? You know, did you get a t-shirt, or were you being that touristy? That would be kind of fun. I don't think anybody's done anything like that on here before. Just checking in from places they're at. Because I don't think anybody has traveled all around like that. So that would be kind of cool. Woz on the open road.